you ready? I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
We got a treat for y'all today. This is from another super secret splinter group.
Yep.
In the...
It's not in the alliances, right? It's just they've come together and then they...
Bleep, the person's name is bleeped out. We are the classical conspiracy.
An elite splinter group of musical connoisseurs from various alliances whose goal is to bestow upon Vin and Sori a refined and sophisticated musical palette from which they can more accurately assess the broader range of music they react to in their videos. This is the song we have chosen for you. Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, or Piano Sonata number 14. Oh, go ahead. Are we supposed to read all
In
that?
C sharp minor... First, second, and third movements. There you go. So, this is going to be a very, very important treat. When they talk about alliances, what they're talking about is Patreon. $1 at the gate gets you in, and then you have these little alliances. But what's happening is there are like super secret sub-alliances, like the Syndicate, which is my favorite one. And then now we've got the classical conspiracy.
But these are like smaller groups of people that kind of, you know,
like
we have
Inception.
the $125 tier, where you can get a song reacted to. That's what they're doing. They're like all grouping together and then pitching in to make that.
It's like Inception. It's like an alliance. It's like alliance within alliances within alliances. And this is the Moonlight Sonata. So movement 1 through 3. Can you full screen that, babe?
Here we go.
Because I want to see this piano player play. This should be very interesting. Put my hoodie on. Okay, I'm familiar with this. There's too bright in here. That's the second movement.
Now we're going into the third.
The third. Holy moly.
Jeez. Back the hell up.
That's guy Voltaire, bro. Looks like a DNA. He looks over there. Doesn't that look like a?
That's crazy. Jeez.
It's got the pinky on it. It's holding that note
Yeah.
or whatever.
God.
It's gangsta shit.
Oh. We're all losers. Amazing.
Feel the metal here, right? Oh, he's holding the pinky. You see
I
that?
know. Oh, I see it. Jesus. Song 1 was emotional. It was sad. I couldn't even think about anything sad because I was going to start crying. Song 2, well, I don't know if they're different songs, but part 2 was, for me, something that would be awesome if one of the kids could play that around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Had a holiday feel to it, but not a Christmas sound to it.
It did.
So
kind of formal.
Yep.
Kind of formal.
I was picturing a nice...
Like a dressed up Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Not a Vin type Thanksgiving.
No. Like the Thanksgiving that we're going to have when we move.
A Dorian type Thanksgiving.
Yeah, me and Dorian type Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then the third one, it just simply, when it started, I was like, we're all losers. And we've all done nothing with our lives.
This mother... He came up with all that was in his head, bro.
Yeah, well, this person that's playing it, like, you'd have to have it memorized, right? You can't read music that fast, right?
I have no idea.
Well, take a guess.
Yeah, I think you'd have to have it memorized. I mean, when these guys are doing it in an orchestra, when they don't have that little video.
I'm a failure.
Thingamajiggy to be able to do all that jazz. But, like, first of all, kudos to whoever who... You know how long it must have taken to edit that video? To put all those things there and harmonize them with the finger strokes and all that?
Oh, I thought it was just a program like, piano tiles?
Yeah, but how would you get that on the video?
I mean, I just assumed it was a program and that it wasn't something somebody had to put a lot of work into.
I think somebody did that.
The hands on this person look pretty young. You saw that?
The thing that just... First of all, people are going to roll their eyes at this, but I don't care. There's a finite amount of keys on that piano.
Yeah.
And so, at some level, that means that there is a finite number of movements that you could possibly do, right?
Yeah.
But it's crazy to me, like, there was like one part...
There's so many combinations.
There was one part where it just looked like a DNA helix, and I was just...
Yeah,
you're right. I couldn't help but say, like... Nobody would say, yeah, man, I was just randomly hitting the keys and this happened. Mm-hmm. Out came the sonata. Like, huh?
Yeah.
But, you know where I'm going with that. Like the person who actually made the DNA strand or whatever, that's just completely random and, whatever. And it's like, have you ever seen Beethoven compose that? But that's the same. Mm-hmm. But that was one of the things that was... But, like, the other thing... There were so many things going on to me with that song, like, spiritually...
First, second, or third? Third one?
Spiritually, philosophically, just as a person who's, like, an appreciator of art. Mm-hmm. And a person who is struggling to make music. Yeah, I kept saying, look, he's holding that note with his pinky. It's because there's a specific chord that I'm trying to hit in the song for the baby that, like, I keep screwing up on it. Remember, I was like, just play through it. I'll get it eventually after, the 10,000th play. So it's like, I'm like looking at this guy going, like, multitasking. He's holding the note with this. Yeah. I don't even know. Maybe it's a key in piano. He's holding the note with this, and then he's playing with this, and then he's doing something different with that. It's like these people, they're just. First of all, the people who come up with this stuff, it's insane. Like, during we let the kids hear the song, like a little sneak peek or whatever, and Dorian was like, how did you come up with this? Blah blah blah. And 20% of it was just when you're practicing major scale. There's so many songs that just come about because people are practicing major scale and they go, oh. And so somebody just got to it first. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, well, you were just practicing a scale or you were in Dorian mode. But then some of it is like, once you hear a certain thing, like then you start hearing other things and then you're just trying to translate what you're hearing up here to the guitar. But when you're limited, like me, in what you, and I just am. I'm a great debater. I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not. I'm not a very good guitarist. So you're limited in what you can actually hear. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not gonna hear like an Yngwie Malmsteen solo in my head. I'm just not gonna hear that because I don't have the. But so it's kind of like this weird situation where it's like, I just imagine like, what is this guy hearing in his head? Gosh. Because he's like mastered the craft, and I'm talking about Beethoven. The dude just mastered the craft, mastered the instrument. Yep. So what was he hearing?
Yeah.
In in his head, and
feeling.
And then there's so many things where like I've written so many things, man, that doesn't work, or blah blah blah, and it's like, if I throw something away and somebody heard it like 100 years from now, they'd be like, yeah, he was smart to throw that away.
Sense.
He should have threw away all this shit. But like, can you imagine the level? So Beethoven had throwaways, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Just as an artist where he's like, oh, this is a guy that...
How high was his throwaway?
Exactly. Like,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, some
I
people's
mean,
talent level is so ridiculous that it's like...
I know.
What he probably thought was like some throwaway thing is like probably some classic thing that we've all missed out on and nobody knows but him and God, because he just decided... You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I love the song that you came up with, the one that we're doing in our band. I think that it's amazing. And when I go out practicing it, I'm always like, this is really good.
Yeah.
And when we were watching the Michael Jordan documentary, I still felt like you could beat Michael Jordan. But when this was playing, I was like, nope. Oh, no, Vin, you're not close. You're not close. You're a very nice song, but it's not. This is unbelievable. This guy.
Yeah, guy's ridiculous.
I mean, wow.
He's
wow.
It's just unbelievable. And the other thing is, like, you know, the whole Tower of Babel thing where, you know, they're trying to build a mountain in heaven or whatever, and nothing. See, they're together now. Nothing they wish to accomplish will be impossible for them.
Yep.
And, you know, on the one hand, you can look at that as a negative statement, but on the other hand, you can look at it as we were created in His image. Mm-hmm. And so, like, but I just think, like, especially with this sonata, like, it starts off with, you know, that I'm very, very familiar with the first part. The second and third part I haven't heard before, but the first part I've heard so many.
The beginning of the first, yeah.
Like, remember the kids had an "Are You Afraid of the Dark?" That, you know, that one started. Mm-hmm. I was reading some Wikipedia about it. Like, one guy called it the Moonlight Sonata, and I guess all these high critics were like, "Oh my God, how could you call it the Moonlight Sonata? It's a funeral dirge. It's not like romantic." Now, you know, Beethoven, to my knowledge, didn't say this is a funeral dirge, but like the people were going crazy about it. Like, it's just so funny what critics do. Like, but like,
it's his art. He can call it what he wants.
Well, he didn't call it that. A critic called it the Moonlight Sonata. So he called it something else.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he called it something else. But the critic, when he was, you know, reviewing it,
oh,
called
really?
it the Moonlight Sonata or whatever. And but like, if you listen to the first movement, and then you listen to the second movement, it's like completely different songs.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
The third part is like, but it was like, when I listened to...
It didn't sound chaotic, though. It was like...
That's the thing. When I listen to the vast majority of, like, heavy, like, not heavy, but, like, these, you know, even Yngwie Malmsteen, I'm going to say it now. Granted, I've only heard one song from Yngwie Malmsteen. So Yngwie Malmsteen was, like, it is, like, he's still, like... He's just, like, basically the fastest shredder on the planet. And so he's, like... And, like, the guy is just insane. He's, like, on another, like, planet from everybody else. As far as, like... That was kind of his shtick. And some people might say, yeah, that's just a shtick. That's not, you know, whatever. There's always critics or whatever. But I'm not criticizing anyone. But it's kind of like I'm hearing a bunch of notes at the same time. And I'm blown away that you could play that in sequence like that. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it kind of becomes unlegible to the mind to be able to appreciate the musicality of it. I'm just blown away by how fast you can play. I'm not necessarily going, holy shit, this is good music.
Oh, I hear what you're saying, yeah.
Whereas this is like, especially the third movement, was like, definitely, third movement, a bunch of notes, but they were all distinguishable at the same time. And I don't know if that's a...
Fit so well in together.
Right. I don't know if that's just the difference between the guitar and the piano.
I was wondering that.
Where a person might say, look, if you did that third movement on guitar, it would sound like just a bunch of scale, you know, a bunch of notes together. But, you know, it's kind of like, you know, like fast rappers. You get these rappers that are living and giving, fulfilling, and it's like, you're fascinated and you like it because that guy's doing something like novel that you've never seen before. But then it's not like you're not like appreciating the lyrical content because you don't know what the hell he's saying. And so it's like this. It's like when you hear, like, especially that third movement, I just thought that was just so special to be able to hear. I'm hearing every single note, but at the same time, you're playing incredibly fast.
Yeah, I feel like you can't
insane.
do that on a guitar because, like, literally you tap it and that's the sound you're looking for when you're working with a piano. With a guitar, you have to have all of your fingers in a certain position to capture that sound because obviously the guitar neck is more limited in sound than the piano is, and so when you're
it's so much easier to screw up
on the guitar, right? And to go that fast, like you can't go that fast and keep switching all those positions. Where on a piano, you can, like you're hitting all the
chord shapes.
You're just hitting
chord shape. Yeah.
So although, I would think that,
like I said, Malmsteen did superhuman stuff, but
I would like to see something on the guitar.
It's just the ability to play all those notes at the same time, while at the same time every single note I hear it. Mm-hmm. Just unbelievable. And I also just think like I'm not against the second movement, but I'm glad it was the shortest one. See what I'm saying? Like the first one like put you in a space where it's like can be mournful, can be mysterious, can be dark, but it was kind of like the positive elements of being dark. Like it's very hard to explain. Like what was I'm listening to like doom doom doom, but it was like it was dark, but it was like a positive kind of dark, which is very difficult for me to explain. But I don't think darkness is always bad all the time.
Yeah.
So like, and obviously, a person with depressive disorder that you have to be very very careful, not to romanticize, gloom or whatever, but. It definitely wasn't celebratory, but at the same time, I can definitely see it being romantic too. Like the critic was saying, it's not even about romance; it's about blah blah blah. Like I get what the guy is saying, but at the same time, like I can definitely see a person saying, or a couple saying, "Oh, this is romantic," blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. And it definitely is one of those progressions where it's like it can also be like a nostalgic flashback type of song where it puts you in a certain space.
Yeah, it was reminding me, my mom used to listen to this, and I've said this before in reviews, my mom used to listen to Beethoven and stuff, and it would depress me so badly.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, I remember telling my mom, like, I hate it. I hate it when you play that. It's just, it makes me so sad. Mm-hmm. And I wish that, of course, it probably obviously didn't come into her head, because if it did, she'd have said it. But if she would have told me, well, dance to it, I think that would have helped me. And so when I was listening to it, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking,
point. That's a very good point.
It's all this sound that it's just like staying within you, like let it out in some sort of a dance and expression. And I think that would have done well for me to deal with that. So I guess, even though like I didn't like enter into that part of the song too much, because I didn't want to feel like that low.
The first part?
Yeah. I think I was kind of like arms length, but I was remembering back to my past of when I used to hear those songs and I didn't like them, and then what if my mom would have said, oh, dance, and stuff like that, like yeah, so I guess like without entering into it, I still recognize that there was a romantic element to it, because if it was just sad, you wouldn't think to dance for just sad.
Right.
So,
right.
Anyway.
Yeah, like the ballet type expressive dance.
Dramatic.
Yeah.
Like down and blah, you know what I mean? Like really dramatic movements. Kind of like the choppier ones where they kind of go to the edge of themselves and then pull back and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's just so amazing hearing like a human being came up with that. Like it's insane.
My gosh.
It's insane. Like it's one of those things like
but I feel like that there are some like music to me seems very like heavenly. Like I feel like there's things that are going to be very different like when we get to heaven as opposed to when we're here. Mm-hmm. But I feel like music is kind of like one of those secret little things that like slip through the cracks, and it's still very heavenly even though it's earthly. And so I think that sometimes you just catch on to something and you're like, this doesn't even seem like it belongs here. You know what I mean? Like this came from somewhere else. And so, I don't know, the mind of God, the heart of God, I don't know.
It's interesting because, you have Aquinas was the first one that introduced this into my mind, talking about objective beauty. Mm-hmm. And for Aquinas, beauty was objective. It wasn't in the eye of the beholder. And he basically said, you know, it's basically the confluence of symmetry and complexity. Because obviously the more complex something is, the less likely it is that you're going to achieve symmetry. So, like, if you had a square, you know, you can pretty much achieve a good degree of symmetry pretty easily. But if you had a diamond, that becomes extremely difficult to achieve symmetry, which is why, you know, a diamond, on top of the fact that it's rare, the fact that it's still symmetrical within that complexity is what makes the diamond, or what makes it a precious thing. And then, you know, obviously, when you think about, I forgot the name of the guy, it's Hegelian theory, where I think it's Hegel, not sure. Our drummer knows, because we talk about this a lot, where basically Peter says that this is, like, the Trinity is the basis of this guy's entire philosophy. And so what do you have in the Trinity? You have the unity and the diversity. You know, university, you know. So, like, you have unity and diversity, you have complexity, but you have symmetry, you have threeness, but you have oneness. And so when you're looking at this, I love the visual aid to it, because it really, really showed you the complexity and yet the symmetry.
Oh yeah.
This is a completely symmetrical song, but it's massively complex, and that's why it's an enduring work of art up to this day, and that's why people are still blown away, because he was able to create all this complexity and yet still make it symmetrical, so that when it's passing through the air gate, you get it. And there's so many notes being played here and so many different whatever, but it's all one song. So, like, the concept that anywhere you find unity and diversity together, working together in symmetry and complexity, you are going to be blown away.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what time period you're in. If we jumped in a time machine and ended up in ancient Rome, and somebody sat down in the amphitheater and played this, like, people would lose their minds just like today, because it is almost the pinnacle of that concept musically of unity and diversity. And so, like, that was kind of like there, and then I'm like, you know, you get, these are movements of life. You got sad times, you got, you know, formal party times, and then you've got, you know, these very dense, see, that's the thing, that it's like apparently chaotic, because if I turned off the volume and we just looked at the guy's hand, you say, this guy's just going all over the place, yada yada yada. You know, it's like, but when you turn on the volume,
that's true.
And then when you see the dot and all that stuff, then you see the logic and the symmetry. The dot
helps so much.
You see the logic and the symmetry behind it. You know, and to me, like, that's the key to life, is to say, when something is happening in my life and it looks random and chaotic, that's just because I'm looking at the hands. I don't have the volume up. I don't have those visual aids. So I think it's chaotic. But if you could have a 10,000 foot view, you'd say, actually, no, like, there's a real symphony happening with your life right now. Like, that's real. You know what I'm saying? And so I think, like, songs like this, like, if we can get really, like, the eighth meaning under it, like, we would say, wait a second. You know what I mean? And so, you know, that's how I look at life, you know, and that's why I say there's so many things going on as I'm listening to this song. I'm like, whoa, bro, like, this is... We listen to a lot of music, close to 2,000 videos, you know, and, like, this is not something I'm going to listen to when I'm, like, doing my planks or push-ups or whatever, but, you know, obviously, and we haven't, this is the first time we've listened to classical music on this side, but this is something, like, completely separate. You know, it's like, not even just because of the genre, like, oh, it's classical versus metal, like, it's just separate, period. It's by itself. Do you know anything about Beethoven's upbringing? Like, did he have some tragic past, or like, was he just born with this much music inside of him? Well, yeah, I have no idea. You know, I heard that he was, like, going deaf, like he was writing music as a deaf person, but I don't know if that's, like, you know what I mean, like urban legend or whatever to really kind of
Yeah.
spruce up the the greatest painter in the world. He was blind. What are you doing with your life?
Right. Well, I already felt like that on the third song. So.
I loved it. This is an 11th of May. Must listen to type stuff here, man.
Oh, absolutely. It's classic. Absolutely. 11.
This is one of those things where, like, if I had to send a capsule to a bunch of space aliens to justify our existence,
You'd send this.
I would say, it's like, all right, maybe we're not gonna, atomize you now because of,
Yeah.
don't kill us. There you are, dear listener.
Let us live.
If you fast forward into the comments or whatever, like, I get it. Just do yourself a favor. I know it's 17 minutes long. Nobody has that time. People don't do this for a living like we do. Just try, and especially with the recording that,
where you can see the visuals.
yeah, with the recording that the Classical Conspiracy did, like the YouTube page. I'm pretty sure they didn't make this video, but do yourself a favor and try to listen to it, because I really think, I think it's important to do something.
I agree.
There you are, dear listener. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.